For me, any form of social injustice is just wrong. Society should be a place where everybody is equal before the law, irrespective of your positioning, your status, your family, or your background.
Gay man beaten to death by an angry mob. Gay couple attacked in one state or the other. We see these reports every day in the news, and yes, we're horrified. But do we think about them within the context of the violation of human rights? That's right, rights that every human being is entitled to. On today's episode of Untold Facts, we will be looking at the infringements of the rights of LGBT people. We'll try and break apart their causes and see if we can find a way forward. So guys, we're talking about this issue of human rights violations, especially against LGBT people. And I've always wondered, Princess, what do you think? Why do we have so much violence against LGBT people? What do you think is the reason?
I would say, first of all, it would be a cultural thing, because we believe if someone is in the LGBTI community, then they are in some way a taboo or less than human, so they should be treated as such. Yeah. And we have all these religious leaders and all these cultural beliefs that make people think that, okay, they're trying to cleanse them of, yes. So that's one of the, it's not really premeditated, it's more of like a reaction to what they are taught.
I just feel like it's a general reaction to things that you don't understand. Like sometimes people feel like, oh, LGBT people are a special group of humans, but they're just like everybody.
On another day, we will have a discussion about why I have a problem with the term LGBT rights, because they're human rights. Yes. But that's not our focus for today. Even the police. You know, you would expect that if there's an act of violence being carried out against an individual, you should be able to go to security agencies for protection.
Yeah, that's the normal thing.
But many times it seems like you read stories of how even police officers are taking part in these attacks and this victimization. What can we do about stuff like that?
Well, I feel like we can't do much if the law indirectly supports impunity. I always say that the reason why a lot of people violate human rights is because of the sense of nothing's going to happen to me. And that's the problem we have with the police. For example, if a person is stopped because of their perceived sexual orientation, like in this case, it's not even real. You know, they're like, you look gay. I wonder what gay looks like, but that's a story for another day. You know, and then you're stopped and all that. They have actual laws that can be manipulated to fulfill their purposes. So now, I feel like the laws are like a fundamental issue, but we also have to look at society. We also have to look at humanity, because we strip people of their humanity to deal with them, you know, anyhow we like. But if we all have it in mind that, okay, this is a human being, and that would change stuff. But then the law is another problem we have. For example, you can be charged with sodomy. You can be charged with...
But don't you have to actually be caught in the act?
You know, because I have looked at that law, and I think that it's, you know, it's amazing. No, I love Nigeria. It's really good.
No, but for me, it's also an issue about dealing with vulnerable people in the society. Because I mean, look at all the uproar about the Untold community and how people have been thrown out of their homes and all of that and all of that. And it makes me wonder, is this comfort? Is it because we perceive ourselves as better or more powerful? I agree. Or it cuts across. I think that anything that makes you different in society, poverty, sexual orientation, whatever thing, automatically gives people some sort of created in their mind some sort of edge over you. For example, the treatment at Untold would not happen to a rich Nigerian, even if they were illegal settlers. A rich man would, police would not even get there. But then these people are on the less privileged, economically, and then they're dealt with anyhow. And that is the same thing that happens to the LGBT community. They are seen as less, they're seen as deficient, and then people want to take advantage. Until we start seeing one another as human beings, regardless of money, you know, sexual orientation, disability, all those things are important things that should affect our humanity. I don't know, Princess, help us to explain. Do something, because I actually wonder, you see your friend being beaten up by an angry mob,
because of their sexuality. Many times, somebody will just say that this person is, do you understand?
Yeah.
How do you think this affects, first, the individuals concerned, and then even the larger LGBT community?
Well, it puts a sense of, what's it called, suppression in people. So you have to look at it from, okay, we deal with survivors of sexual violence, so we look at them a lot as psychological cases. So you see people that have PTSD, depression, people become suicidal because there's nowhere for you to go.
Yes.
Both the authorities, both your family, people that you're supposed to have a support system from, they tend to shun you away or stigmatize you. So in terms of when you have a society where people are being, their human rights are being violated often without anywhere for them to go to, it can lead to a lot of, we've been seeing suicide rates go up in Nigeria. So it can actually be one of the side effects, because after they've died, we cannot go and inquire what happened.
What killed you?
Yeah,
Yes.
that is something for me, because I feel like in Nigeria, we then create this type of strata in society where some people are normal and then some people aren't. And I always say that the fact that a person identifies differently from what the binary provisions are does not make them less of a human being. And that is my angle to all of this. We are all human beings. We all should be respected as human beings.
You know, the thing that also worries me is how easy it is to make this a tool of intimidation.
Yes.
I was out with a bunch of friends recently, and so I don't know about you, but when I'm out dancing, you know how guys will just randomly come up behind you and start.
Oh.
It irritates me. So
Yes.
I avoid guys I don't know when I'm out. So I'm out with my friend, and some guy comes to harass her. So she just comes to stand by me. I hold her hand to take her back to her seat. And the guy who was harassing her comes behind me and says, 14 years. I say, for what? He said, for same-sex activity in public. I said, how many years for harassing somebody?
Yes.
Then he stops. He says, I'm a lawyer. I said, and so? But now think about it. If I didn't know, you know, that first, you're harassing me, you're making me uncomfortable, I'm holding my friend's hand, come and beat me. You know, it's so easy.
Yes.
So when LGBT people are being victimized or attacked, is there anywhere they can go? Are there any facilities, any institutions?
See, you know, what you said just now just took my mind right back to a situation where a sexual predator is judging a person who...
Excuse me, who is being a predator?
Yes. You know, you're a sexual predator and somebody is protecting their friend from you, and then you have a moral high ground to say, oh, I'm just a sexual predator, but LGBT, you are not.
Really?
You know, it's amazing. I feel like at the end of the day, people should still keep testing the system. See, like I always say, if you don't test the system, you will not be able to get anything out of the system. One of the reasons why...
But Lara, when you say test the system, somebody tests the system and it does not work. It's putting people...
I agree with you. It is discouraging.
I know.
But that's what we do as human rights lawyers. We keep testing. The fact that you ask the questions, it doesn't mean you're going to get a response. But you keep doing it.
Princess, I'm sure you encounter in the course of your work LGBT members who have had to deal with some sort of violence, you know, sexual violence or whatever. First, talk about that experience, and then also, what can people do?
I can give an example of a case that we dealt with in the past. It was actually a gay couple, but the parents of the child felt that his partner was imposing on him and raping him, and reported it as...
You say parents of the child. Was it the child?
Sorry, their son was gay, but they didn't believe he was gay.
He was gay.
How can he be gay?
They thought that this guy is a bad influence, or he's he's sexually abusing him, and they reported the case, and we spoke to the two of them and realized that there is consent. So what are you bringing this to us for? But apart from that, we see, of course, sexual violence against gay people, especially lesbians, that men try and impose themselves like
corrective.
Yes.
Yes.
Or you say if my son tells me he's gay, I'll send a prostitute to the house. And what do you mean?
Do you understand?
But the presence of an erection doesn't mean...
It doesn't signify...
Doesn't give consent. Yeah, so we see... we see things like that quite often. It would actually surprise you. And there's this misconception that the LGBTI community is maybe just 0.7% of the Nigerian population. But it would actually surprise you how many people are in the closet are not able to talk about it because of the stigma.
Talk about it if they are going to beat you up for it. Let's be honest.
Well, would you talk about
it?
Yeah. So we do.
To what extent do you think the Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Act escalated violence against LGBT people?
Well, I dare say that before that law, people in Nigeria actually, to an extent, lived and let other people live. It was a matter of like, it was like the army, don't ask, don't tell. It was more like that. But then people could live, they could do whatever, do whatever they wanted to do. They could live their lives. But then the law kind of just put some sort of floodlight on this issue. And then people just started acting up with impunity. People just started thinking, oh, well, since you're criminalized now, I can do anything to you and nothing will happen to me. And to me, it just created some sort of state-sponsored homophobia. Yes.
Regardless,
we will kill you. You know, people threatening other people.
And that they don't even take into consideration that the fact doesn't permit them to. It doesn't say because it is prohibited, so kill all of them.
Yes.
I don't.
But you talked about it, that there are issues in which the bill can be twisted. What are some ways in which?
Oh, for example, before that law in Nigeria, 2 men, 2 women could hold hands and have a proper conversation in public. All of a sudden, holding hands can be termed as public displays of affection. And I remember a friend was telling me that her grandmother was telling her that what kind of law is that? That how do they expect people to gist with one another in the street if you're not holding your friend's hand? Like, how do you expect people to? And I'm thinking, you see older generation Nigerians who know that our culture is friendly, our culture is open, and then all of a sudden we have to walk this way when we're walking with our friends. So that is an issue with it. And then the other issue that law shines a floodlight on is people who have peculiarities to their looks. They can get grabbed by the police. They can get, they can get stoned. People target you. If people don't understand you, they can just assume that you're that way. You get what I'm saying? Sometimes if you're not friends with people in your area, and I'm talking about people who live in like the actual Lagos. And then some people feel like, oh, we've never seen a guy come to see her. We're going to target her. The law just opened a floodgate of violence and discrimination and prejudice that we do not need in our society.
There are many arguments that that law is an attempt to police public morality, which isn't really the government's business.
Amazing stuff, eh?
You see this one of this? Like, what would you say about that?
Public morality. I love Nigeria. Well, now, to an extent, the government can police public morality. But I think that the government cannot interfere into people's private lives. Yes, people's rights to privacy must be protected. You cannot just dive into people's lives and try to regulate what they do in their private life on their time with consenting adults. I don't agree. But I know that to an extent, okay, you know what interests me the most about public morality in Nigeria? Everybody can be whatever they are behind closed doors, but just people cannot live their truth. I don't understand that. I think that our hypocritical way of doing things I think for me, it's personally, it's disheartening, because then we make laws that tie people down to certain things and stereotypes, and we can't have a group of people who live their truth. I'm sorry, but I feel like trying to, well, I'm actually not sorry. I think that they should leave people alone to live their lives.
Whether we feel this way or not, there is a law in effect. And, we want to think that it can be reversed, but that's a best case scenario that isn't really likely to happen. What seems to me to be a more plausible possibility is helping members of the non-LGBT society see the effect of violating the rights of LGBT people. How do you think this can be done? Or am I just being, a Pollyanna and thinking that everybody in the world is a good person? Is there any way in which we can help people see that you might think that you're doing the will of whichever divine being you worship, but you are carrying out an act of violence against another human being. That is wrong. How can we educate?
The best way we found is to go through the community leaders. Now, it will be a testy subject to broach, but if you bring it to them from the perspective of we are all human beings, regardless of what you judge me for my actions, but you are also doing things that your religion also questions. So because you believe I'm sinning differently than you, should not in any way.
I know, okay, with the question of religion, because I would touch on that a little, because we are a religious lot in Nigeria. It's supposed to be a secular state.
Secular country,
yes, it's a secular state, but then our leaders stand up in the House of Parliament and quote the Bible and whatever. Everybody will be fine.
I even try to stay away from that you sin differently from me, because it now criminalizes or illegitimate. It makes it illegitimate.
Yes. I see what you're saying, Ari.
Actually, my point was, if these people, the religious leaders, the community leaders, are the people they look up to and take advice from and listen to. So if we can sensitize them in a way that they speak to everyone as human beings and do not promote any form of violence against any human being.
I hear you, Princess.
Do vaccinations, they don't want. I'm just saying.
No, I see what Princess is saying.
It takes small steps, but you can actually get there.
I was going to say that if I see what Princess is saying, because if our community leaders and religious leaders desist from endorsing violence toward a section of society for whatever reason, it would extend to the LGBT community. So we all see each other as human beings, we love each other, we're living together.
While you went in, we talked a little bit about this correctional rape problem.
Yes.
And many times this is even something that is endorsed by the community. I mean, it's scary when you hear men say, for instance, of a woman or of a lesbian woman that if I'm not going to be crude here. But basically, if I have sex with her, I will fix her. So this mentality that carrying out an act of sexual violence against somebody else is...
There is no justification.
None at all.
Never.
You can't even fix a person. No.
Well, even if you could fix a person, why do you think that it is the use of your tools that will fix a person?
I agree. And on the other hand, there's something I call the hetero privilege. It's some people who just sit on a high horse and look at everybody like, oh, you need fixing. You are lesbian. You need. And the idea is that you're not better than I am. We are all in our struggle. We are all on our own separate, lanes in life. So the idea of somebody trying to fix somebody by raping them completely beats me, and it's illegal.
The great thing is that as there exists a law against being gay, there also exists a law against rape.
Yes.
And our law against rape is actually very, very specific about what rape means.
Yes.
So if you say, oh, she's gay, so take her to prison, we'll also take you.
Yes, to prison.
Yes, because you're also violating someone's sexual rights.
Not cancel another violation of the law.
Yeah.
At all.
So if somebody has had to deal with that, again, and I'm very vested in this question of resources, because people need to know that they have somewhere to go.
Oh, yeah.
So let's say somebody is listening and watching and they've been a victim of correctional rape. What should they do?
So we have various services. By we I mean Stand to End Rape Initiative. So we have in-house psychologists that speak to people. We have subsidized healthcare, because rape can physically hurt you.
So
then apart from that, because in situations of correctional rape, very often the person that organizes it is somebody you're dependent on. You would need to be relocated from where you are, and you need a different source of income.
A safe space to even live in.
So thankfully, in Lagos State at least, we have different shelters for people. Then we also have different organizations that provide some sort of skills acquisitions, courses, and they give, like we've helped someone to set up a business because her husband was physically abusing her. All these things, they exist, and we believe that as awareness grows, we will keep having all these institutions come up, and individuals that feel the passion for having everybody safe and sound
will step up to the game.
Yeah.
Now, Lara, we're rounding up now, but so a lesbian woman, for instance, goes to the police and says she's been raped, first, how can she report this where it doesn't turn around to become a problem to her? What can she say? What can she do?
You know what stresses me? Why is the person a lesbian woman? A woman has been raped. It doesn't matter if you're lesbian, bisexual, pan, whatever. A person has been violated and actions must ensue. We must take action to protect every member of our community, regardless of their sexuality or disability or any other factor
and
that
we
might
can call the law in on this situation.
Yes.
And the person has their rights.
I don't even think that your sexuality should be an issue with the police. If the police is seeing a human being who has been violated, they should carry out investigation and do the right thing.
Because you and I know.
Yes. And that's why I say we should, and I feel like we will get there, because the idea is to treat every human being as free and equal. We are all born free and equal, and sexuality should not reduce anybody's rights to life, privacy, movement, whatever fundamental human rights has been provided in the Constitution. Yes.
And that is a fantastic note to round up today's episode. Princess Sarah, thanks so much for the fire and the ice that you brought. She's so chilled and so easy.
I know.
But this is the bottom line, that human rights are human rights. It does not matter whether the person is a sexual minority or not. They deserve the same rights as everybody else. Now, there are resources available for anybody who's been a victim of violence based on their sexuality, but also even with issues with correctional rape and so on. You have the right to seek redress, get a lawyer, and like Lara says, and I'm going to be optimistic, you know, test the law, test these systems, and let's see if we can get them to work for us. Now, guys, we would like you to join this conversation. So contribute on any of the social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, @Tears Nigeria. The hashtag is Untold Facts too, and we want to hear your story. If you have a story to share, share it. If you're a lawyer and you feel, look, I can contribute to this, I can be a resource, please get involved, get connected. If we have an opinion that you would like, if you have an opinion you would like us to hear, share it. We're always excited to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode. I know that it has been enlightening, and we're looking forward to more enlightening conversations going forward. Have a wonderful day, and bye-bye.